What is going on, everybody? It's France, and we're here for a Raw review for September 2nd, 2019. We are 1 month away from AEW premiering on TNT. AEW All Out, of course, was this past weekend, as well as NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff, which, in my opinion, NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff takes the cake over AEW's All Out. Just on one match and one match only, and that was Tyler Bate versus Walter. Also on that show, of course, was the Joe Coffey versus Bomber Dave Mastiff last man standing match, and in my opinion, if you would put that up against the Cracker Barrel clash that we had at AEW's All Out, I would take Dave Mastiff over Joe Coffey every time. It was a much better match. And it was better, and it wasn't as convoluted and over the top as your Cracker Barrel clash. The only weak point of UK Cardiff was the women's match. I don't know if Toni Storm was injured or something, or they just wanted to give more time to Tyler Bate and Walter, but the match didn't even go 10 minutes, and Kaylee Ray is your new women's champion. However, I just feel like that match was like the bring down of the show compared to All Out, where you had the Dark Order versus the Best Friends, which was an absolute bore of a match. Rio versus Shida, which was an absolute just like, I'm not, and this is my opinion, not anyone else's. I am not like, I know Kenny Omega loves the Joshi wrestling. I know Tony Khan is a fan of the Joshi wrestling. I don't get it. It's not special to me. It just, like, Shida versus Rio at that show was just not a good match to me. The Escalada de la Muerte match with Stairway to Death ladder match was a fun and exciting ladder match. It's just, if you're looking at great matches overall, people are saying that ladder match was the greatest ladder match, probably one of the greatest ladder matches of all time. Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels will always be the greatest ladder match of all time, because they gave you a great ladder match with only one ladder and had less to work with, and still gave you a damn good match. They didn't do half of what they didn't have to do half of what you have to do nowadays to get over in a ladder match. People today are absolutely spoiled when it comes to wrestling or anything, in my opinion. So yeah, if I had to pick a pay-per-view of the weekend, I would have to say it was NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. I saw it earlier today. All Out, of course, was number 2, and of course, World Quest I didn't watch. But it's kind of hard to be, like, outside of probably Wrestle Kingdom, it's kind of hard for me to rate an entire New Japan pay-per-view based off the fact that half the show is just meaningless, like tag matches that go nowhere, and the other half is the main event show. So, yeah, so that's my thoughts on those. Tonight, they did the unthinkable, something they teased last year until they made Bayley and Sasha Banks go to counseling, and we had to see Dr. Shelby again for a week. Bayley, at the end of the night, you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming back when the week Sasha Banks made her return. Bayley gets asked by, I believe it was Kathy Kelly or one of the women, Charlie Caruso, one of them, maybe even Kayla Braxton, that she was asked about what her thoughts are on Sasha Banks and her return, and Bayley said that both of these women, like, Natalia's her friend, Sasha's her friend, and it's best if I just keep my mouth shut. And she walked away. They did that again tonight and asked her what if she would comment on this, and she wouldn't answer that. She said she talked to Sasha Banks, and that she's not going to tell anybody what she had to say because it's personal between them. And what happened was we had a main event match with the Raw and SmackDown Women's Champions teaming up to take on the Women's Tag Team Champions in the main event. Sasha Banks early in the night had a promo battle with Becky Lynch, and she comes out right before the commercial break for this main event. And at the end of the match, she attacks Becky Lynch, hits her with a chair a couple times, and then Bayley takes the chair away. And I'm not the only one who did this. I'm pretty sure half of Charlotte or Baltimore tonight was just sitting there saying, "Do it." We're thinking, "Do it, Bayley, do it." And sure as hell, Bayley cracks that over Becky's back multiple times. Absolutely fucking fantastic. That was great. I just looking on Twitter here, and Scott Dawson puts out a tweet, hashtag survival, hashtag raw, hashtag it's Bayley, it's at Sasha Banks WWE. Absolutely fucking great. Now, I'm putting a caveat on this simply because Bayley had this happen last year. We had Bayley attack Sasha Banks, beat her down, and instead of putting them in a match against each other, what happened? We had her go they had her go to the back, and Cody was like, "You have to go to counseling." And we had counseling instead of Bayley. And I even put on the title for that one, "Please don't screw this heel turn up, WWE." What did they do? They screwed the heel turn up. Another caveat to this is the fact that Bayley is a heel now, I guess. Charlotte Flair has been a heel. So that makes the entire show, the entire match between Bayley and Charlotte Flair now a heel versus heel match. I don't know how you're going to be able to book this and have Bayley and Charlotte turn heel. Bayley and Charlotte Flair is better as a heel, so having Charlotte Flair turn babyface just because Bayley just turned heel makes absolutely zero sense. I'm hoping we don't have that happen where it's like, oh, Bayley turned heel, so we have to turn Charlotte face. So Charlotte Flair as a face is absolutely just wretched. She is awful as a face. She is not believable as a face. Anything she says, you can't believe, at all. So I'm hoping that does not happen. But now it's just going to make that match because Bayley here's the thing. Bayley could be a heel right now. Crowd was chanting yes. Crowd has been wanting this. We have been wanting this. I have been wanting this since she turned heel last year for that one episode and WWE fucked it up. I want this to be great. I want Bayley to have that edge. I'm sure Brian Zane is out there just probably jumping for joy, and he's probably going to have something to say about this on Who Wore It Better because he has been pitching for the last few weeks that Bayley's going to turn heel. And lo and behold, she turned heel, and I was just sitting there as soon as she hit that first ring with a smile on my face. I'm just like, yes. Another thing that WWE could not see, that just, is the fact that you had the King of the Ring tonight. You had King of the Ring matches. Baron Corbin versus Cedric Alexander, and Ricochet versus Samoa Joe. How do you fuck up the King of the Ring? Oh, that's real easy. How do you fuck up King of the Ring? I'll show you how they fuck up King of the Ring. Samoa Joe and Ricochet, in their match, do a spot where they both fall backwards, one arm on each other, and John Cone, 1, 2, 3 counts both men out. I'm at a loss of words that it's just at a loss of words how you could fuck a King of the Ring up. Ricochet, Samoa Joe, with Baron Corbin beating Cedric Alexander early in the night, which of course he did, and Cedric Alexander earlier before that got beat down by the OC, so apparently Cedric Alexander, who hasn't done enough to warrant a United States Championship match, is probably going to be getting a United States Championship match at Clash of Champions, because that is the only championship that's the only championship that has not been decided who's going to be facing them for it. My problem with the Ricochet, Samoa Joe, and Baron Corbin match next week is the fact that just solidifies that Baron Corbin's going to win. Baron Corbin's winning. He's going to go to the finals, and he'll face off against Elias, Chad Gable, Andrade, or Chad Gable, Elias, Ali, and Andrade. One of those four guys. And it's absolutely just sickening that they did such a damn thing. How can you fuck this up? You had AEW, and even UK TakeOver give you 2 fantastic pay-per-views, 2 fantastic shows on Saturday. They're not gonna do anything, and this is what we come to on Monday. If you saw TakeOver Cardiff this weekend and you saw AEW All Out this weekend, and you were wondering how is WWE going to respond to the way those 2 shows went, this is your response to AEW at least. Ricochet and Samoa Joe double pinned, both going to the semifinals. So the semifinals is now a triple threat on Raw. I would not be surprised if we get a triple threat on SmackDown. And I could honestly see Chad Gable and Andrade be going through the same exact thing. And having both of them fall backwards or do something stupid with both a dusty finish there. And Elias or Ali would face both of those guys in a match next week. Give me a fucking break. This was an absolute joke. Absolute joke. Other than that, this show was absolutely pitiful. Nothing else on this show meant anything. You had a contract signing at the beginning of the show that the OCs interrupted. Then Rudolph and like the team of Rude and Dolph Ziggler, which is now going to be known as Rudolph, the red-nosed losers. Yes, they came out. They beat down the five guys beat down the tag team champions, and we go from there. Just a bad show. Last week's show, the pacing was absolutely fucking fantastic. We got to the final match, and the show just felt like it was a breeze through. This week we're just back to what we usually do. We're back to slow, monotonous, dragging us through the mud, just trying to get this show to be over. I'm spending more time looking at Twitter, trying to see what people are saying about the show than I am actually being able to watch the show, because this show was absolutely awful. Now, Baron Corbin vs. Cedric Alexander, I will admit, was Baron Corbin's best match on the main roster, and probably his best match since he made his debut and defeated CJ Parker in that 30-second match. So, out of everybody on the roster who actually got a good match out of Baron Corbin, it was Cedric Alexander. Am I happy that Cedric Alexander didn't beat Baron Corbin? No, I wish Baron Corbin would have lost. Just more solidifies the fact that Baron Corbin's going to be going to the finals next week. He's going to win. It would not surprise me if Elias wins, and we have Elias versus Baron Corbin in the finals, in one of the most boring finals to the pay-per-view that we have. Just, no. I have nothing else to say about that. As I started, we started off with our contract signing. Michael Cole's in the ring. He's moderating. Contract signing pretty much went like this. Braun Strowman, Seth Rollins, they jaw a little bit about who's going to win. Oh, they're going to defend their titles. They're going to beat Rudolph at Clash of Champions, and then I'm going to win. No, I'm going to win. And then right before, because Seth Rollins signs, Braun Strowman goes to sign, and AJ Styles and the OC come out. He comes out. Michael Cole, trying to be a moderator to this thing, can't keep this thing under control. AJ and them get to the ring, and he actually says, "Shut up, Cole, I'm going to slap your teeth down your throat," which I fucking pop for, because anyone who tells Michael Cole to shut up is good in my book. He takes the contract, he rips it up. Unfortunately, he's just posing in the ring with the table right in front of him. Braun Strowman takes that table and throws it right into AJ's face. AJ is just wiped out. These four guys, the rest of the OC, and the tag team champions, they brawl. We go to commercial, and what do you think we have? We have ourselves a tag team match. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson of the OC versus Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins. This match ended with AJ Styles getting knocked off the apron, which leads to Rollins rolling up Anderson for the 1-2-3. Not much of a match that really needs to be talked about. Just the OCs getting beat again. However, the OCs get their heat back with Rudolph, who is showing that they are a formidable team to show that they might be a threat to Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins at the Clash of Champions. AJ immediately attacks Rollins. Rollins fights back to clear the ring as ring of AJ and Anderson. Strowman recovers on the outside and runs right over Gallows and AJ and then Rollins by accident. Strowman can't believe he attacked his partner, but Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, run down to attack Strowman. The OCs join in and they all beat down Strowman at ringside as fans boo. Ziggler and Roode ran part of the steel steps into Strowman as the OCs hold him. They bring Strowman into the ring, but Rollins tries to make the save, but they beat him down as well. Ziggler hits a superkick, and Roode hits the glorious DDT. Strowman rushes AJ in the corner, but everyone beats him down. Roode and Ziggler help Gallows and Anderson hit a magic killer on Strowman. They all hold Strowman hold Strowman up while AJ goes up and hits the phenomenal forearm. Rude gets down in Rollins' face while the OC does the Too Sweet together. Rude and Ziggler stand tall with the OCs as AJ's music hits. So the OCs get beat again with a shitty fucking roll up, with an easy roll up, which just really, but they do get their heat back. Are they going to win the tag team title back anytime soon? No. I still say Rudolph is going to win the tag team titles going into into Clash of Champions. La-di-da. Killer Cruz is backstage with Cedric Alexander to discuss his King of the Ring match, but all of a sudden the OCs attack him out of nowhere and beat him down. Of course, in AJ's promo, he was making fun of the fact that, oh, why does Braun Strowman deserve a title match? What did he do? He looked at the title. So that's why he was mocking. AJ Styles came out mocking the way that Braun Strowman and others have gotten title matches in WWE. You just look at the championship and automatically get a championship match. This is how WWE's run. Nobody, you could lose 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 matches in a row. Look at a champion and say, hey, I want to race you for the championship. That champion be like, well, I'm a fighting champion because I'm a babyface. You're on. So yeah, that's exactly it. And he's just making fun of that. And he's like, oh, Anderson, no, don't look at my title. Gallows, don't look at my title. And he's just making fun of this. And he's like, oh, I just have to walk around here and challenge, and somebody will challenge me eventually. We get backstage, and of course, they beat down Cedric Alexander. I was hoping this would have led to the usual thing that you would have, where if a babyface gets beat down before a big match, they usually end up winning that match. That did not happen, of course, as you saw in the graphic. So obviously, the title match at Clash of Champions will be Cedric Alexander versus AJ Styles. Oh, it's almost as if the Clash of Champions pay-per-view was done on the fly. They didn't have this shit planned out before SummerSlam. You didn't have plans going into SummerSlam how you were going to get Seth versus Braun Strowman, AJ versus Cedric Alexander. I guarantee you they flipped the coin backstage and gave Cedric Alexander. They could have went with Ricochet if they wanted to again. They could have went with Samoa Joe. They could have went with Baron Corbin. But no, they went with Cedric Alexander. Rudolph versus the figure it out guys, Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. Nothing match here as usual. Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode win with a glorious DDT after pretty much beating the snot out of these two. These guys are losers. That is the Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. Did you expect them to win? No, of course not, because they got to build momentum going into Clash of Champions. So that was an easy win there. Lacey Evans, you see walking backstage, is we're going to have Lacey Evans versus Natalya. Because when I think of great women's matches to have on Monday Night Raw, or good women's matches on Monday Night Raw, I think of Lacey Evans versus Natalya. Does anybody remember what happened after WrestleMania? Does anybody remember how Lacey Evans got her first title opportunity? She beat Natalya in a very, very piss-poor match. This match was no different. Lacey Evans has no business being on Monday Night Raw. She needs to stay on the... she needs to stay in main event purgatory for at least a fucking year. She is not a good wrestler. Natalya is no better as it is. Natalya is way past her prime. So it's time. Honestly, in my opinion, I think Natalya needs to be on the lesser used end of the spectrum. She's been in WWE for over 10 years. She has not gotten any better. She's regressed over time, and I think it's time for her to call it a career and do something in the Performance Center, maybe be on commentary somewhere, I don't know, but Natalya is just not good in the ring anymore. This match was, again, just I'm sitting here trying to stay awake. Lacey Evans boring the hell out of me, Natalya boring the hell out of me. I just can't get through this match without, nodding off a little bit. The only thing that was, whoa, is the fact that Natalya called Lacey Evans a nasty bitch, but she earned a woman's vote for the 1, 2, 3. Lacey Evans wins. Who cares? They advertised Rey Mysterio returning this weekend. I thought we were going to have Rey Mysterio returning to action, to a match, to have a match on Monday Night Raw. No, later we're going to have Rey Mysterio in a boring, cringe-ass promo. I love Rey Mysterio. I know you love Rey Mysterio, but my word, when we get over that promo, it was absolutely terrible. Out comes Women's Champion, Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. She really see recent happenings between Lynch and Sasha Banks. Lynch says it's good to be back in Baltimore, which, by the way, they will be in, and AEW will be in Baltimore on November 9th for Full Gear. If you want to go check out a great pay-per-view, a good pay-per-view that's going to take out whatever they do for Survivor Series, go get ready to watch Full Gear on November 9th. From Baltimore, by the way. Sasha Banks, where are you? Becky's heard Banks' excuses for being away last week, and it's a load of crap. Lynch says Banks has no reason to complain and goes about how WWE was always giving her opportunities. While she was the face of NXT while I was a sidekick. You came up to the main roster. You were getting pay-per-view and Raw main events while I was scratching and clawing to even find a spot on SmackDown Live. Lynch says Banks and Charlotte Flair were parading in the front like the frauds that they are, calls Banks a delusional little weirdo, and says she will teach her a lesson, and fans chant for Becky. She mentions how SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley has been doing fine while she's been away. Says it hurts Banks that Becky is the face of the company. So Banks was supposed to be her, and she taunts Banks and talking trash, calling her a little blue-eyed freak, and telling her they can do this woman to woman. And out comes Sasha Banks, who gets hyped. She's wearing a beautiful black and gold looking dress-like combo. It was just an awesome looking attire. Banks agrees that she was supposed to be Becky, the WrestleMania main event, the magazine covers, the money, and everything else. Banks says Becky only got all this because Nia Jax broke her face. I would have to somewhat agree with that, because going into Survivor Series last year, the match between Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey was supposed to end with Becky Lynch tapping out to Ronda Rousey's submission hold, the armbar that she does. And I'm telling you right now, if Becky Lynch would have went to that Survivor Series match and tapped out to the armbar done by Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch would not be where she is today. They would have killed Becky Lynch's momentum like that because they wanted to build Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey one-on-one at WrestleMania. So the only reason Becky Lynch, I'm not saying the only reason, but one of the biggest reasons Becky Lynch is where she is right now is because Nia Jax broke her face on the Go Home show to Survivor Series. So we might not like Nia Jax because she sucks in the ring, but we have to give Nia Jax a big thank you, because if she didn't do what she did, Becky Lynch would be just another woman on the roster, and there is no doubt about that. Banks says this is business, not personal, just like it was business when she beat the hell out of Lynch with a chair a few weeks ago. Banks says she can make this personal, and Lynch says if Banks wants to fight, they can fight. Speaking, Banks, of course, is sitting on the stage, says she will do it on her own terms, and she will face Lynch at Clash of Champions for the title. But Lynch says, is that what you wanted? Because all you had to do was ask. If you want it, you got it, I accept. Banks says, after Clash of Champions, the man will be the boss's bitch. She walks to the ramp as the music starts up. Lynch raises the title in the air and looks on. The only time I think the Street Profits showed up this week, we see Montez Ford and Emily Dawkins. They are shocked at what they say, but Ford barks and says, we need a good commercial in 3, 2, 1. And that was all we saw from the Street Profits tonight. NXT is coming to USA on September 18th. They have no reason being on Monday Night Raw. Keep them in NXT. That tag team division is going to need the Street Profits. Monday Night Raw doesn't have a good tag team division. No reason in putting Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins there. So just leave it there. Leave them in NXT. Get them off of Monday Night Raw. They have no business being there. They're not doing anything on Monday Night Raw. So that is all we need to say about that. King of the Ring match, Baron Corbin versus Cedric Alexander. This match was actually pretty good. Baron Corbin actually worked well with Cedric Alexander, or I should say Cedric Alexander made Baron Corbin look good. Yes, Cedric Alexander had They kind of floated away from the knee injury that he had suffered with Cesaro last week, or tweaked his knee last week. They did not bring that up whatsoever. So they had AJ Styles beat him down before the match. Of course, Corbin comes out, checks out the King of the Ring throne and Seth on stage. We go to pre-match comments on the side for Corbin, who can't wait to hear all hail from the fans. Out comes Cedric Alexander, clutching his arm from the OC attack. Like I said, really good match here. Cedric Alexander can, out of everybody, Seth Rollins couldn't do it, AJ Styles couldn't do it when he was a babyface. Nobody else could get a good match out of Baron Corbin. Surprisingly, Cedric Alexander worked miracles and got this match to be, it wasn't a great match or a perfect match, but it was a good match. Baron Corbin looked like a dominant heel. Cedric Alexander looked like the defiant babyface trying to come back and win the match after all he had to go through, the injury that suffered earlier in the night. Cedric Alexander hits a really funky Michinoku driver for a 2 count. Cedric waits for Corbin to get the fans pop. Corbin sends Cedric into the apron. Cedric, a little bit earlier before the Michinoku driver, Cedric Alexander was just so fired up. He takes Baron Corbin, who missed him in the corner, and he ran his shoulder into the turnbuckle. So he grabs Corbin again and throws him 3 times into one corner, and then takes him to another corner and throws him into that one. So you could just feel the intensity. Cedric Alexander wanted to do everything he could to win this match, to move on to the semifinals. This is how a King of the Ring match should be booked. These matches should be important. Every guy in these matches should be fighting and kicking ass and taking names to get to the next round. Yes, Baron Corbin ended up winning this, but this has got to be the best Baron Corbin match we have seen in a long fucking time. Cedric goes up for a springboard or up top to the apron. Corbin makes him fall off the top rope. Corbin nails the end of days for the 1, 2, 3. Corbin stands tall as his music hits. We will face the winner of Ricochet versus Samoa Joe, or as you've seen, he'll be facing both of them next week. We go to replays. Corbin makes his exit, but clutching his arm as Cedric recovers in the ring. He goes up top. He sits down, grabs the scepter, and he just holds the crown and raises it up. We're all gonna be pissed. We're all gonna complain. We're all gonna bitch and moan when fucking Baron Corbin goes to Clash of Champions and wins the King of the Ring. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but WWE is setting this up too perfectly to not have Baron Corbin win this. I know you don't want it. I know I don't want it, but I'm telling you now, I wouldn't put it past WWE. You bring back the King of the Ring. You have Andrade. You have Buddy Ali. You have Ricochet, who are all guys who could be guys in this thing still, who could be good Kings of the Ring. Even Chad Gable, Elias, no thank you. Baron Corbin, no thank you. Even Samoa Joe, even though it's Samoa Joe. Yet Baron Corbin's going to win this. It's obvious, so goddamn obvious that Baron Corbin's winning this. Now people are like, oh well, Ricochet and Samoa Joe were not. They didn't want either one of these guys to get beat, so they're gonna have to make it a triple threat match. Why would that make a difference? Samoa Joe loses all the time, so why would you not do that? Why would you not have Samoa Joe lose? Because if you're going to have Baron Corbin make it to the next round, Ricochet versus Baron Corbin would be the match that you would have. So you would have the babyface versus the heel going into the King of the Ring finals. To have Corbin win going into the finals to face either Chad Gable or Ali. Back in Megan Cole shows us tweets from Hall of Famer Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't know why they're doing this. Why they had tweets from Stone Cold Steve Austin tonight. I don't get why they did that. He offers to moderate Strowman versus Seth Rollins. This was the second tweet. They did have one earlier where he said, Cole's a good commentator, but he's a terrible moderator. No, Cole is not a good commentator, except for the first UK tournament where he actually found it sounded legitimately real and not manufactured like he is now. But in Madison Square Garden. Okay, people. Here's the gist of this. SmackDown and Raw are going to be in Madison Square Garden for the first time since Kofi Kingston, in November of 2019, did the broom drop onto Randy Orton through that table that clip that they showed in the Randy Orton and Kofi Kingston feud where you see Randy Orton laying on the table and Kofi hits the boom drop. That was in November of 2009 in Madison Square Garden. Yes, they go to Madison Square Garden about every year for house shows. They always do two. I think they do back-to-back. Like they do house show matches there. AJ Styles, I believe, won the United States Championship 2 years ago in Madison Square Garden at a house show. So they're there every single year. However, this is the first time Raw, SmackDown have been. Well, SmackDown, I don't know when the last time SmackDown's been in the Garden, but this is the first time in 10 years Raw will be in the Garden. Why are they bringing? And SmackDown's been advertised for The Undertaker next week too. So the reason that they're doing Raw, Stone Cold, they're advertising Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker for Raw and SmackDown next week respectively. It's simple. They're not selling out Madison Square Garden. They have not sold out Madison Square Garden. The G1 Supercard was, I believe, tickets went on sale, September of last year? They sold out in no time. Of course, the Elite, Matt, Nick, Kenny, Hangman, and Cody were in Ring of Honor still, so a lot of people probably thought that they would see those guys in the G1 Supercard this year. Of course, that didn't happen. It was still it was probably on the New Japan side, it was a good show. The Ring of Honor side didn't, it brought the show down apparently. But it sold out in seconds or minutes. Vince McMahon was hoping that, hey, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live are coming to the Garden. They'll sell out faster than the G1 Supercard. And they haven't. And they weren't going to. Nobody wants to go see Baron Corbin in the main event again, because this match, this triple threat match, is going to be your main event of Monday Night Raw next week. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It should be. It's the King of the Ring semi-finals. Same thing with SmackDown next week. Whoever it's going to be going into SmackDown's side of the King of the Ring is going to be your main event next week, and it should be. I don't want to see that match, that King of the Ring semi-final match, and then more on Roman Reigns. They need to have this shit settled this week and end it. But nobody's going to want to sit there, and I'm telling you right now, they really fucked up, because if that is your main event, and it should be because it's the King of the Ring semifinals, any chance of people wanting to buy tickets now just went right out the fucking window. You might see people who are wanting to go to this show selling their tickets on the secondhand market because they don't want to see Baron Corbin at the end of the night beating Ricochet and Samoa Joe to go to the King of the Ring finals. You fucked up, Vince. You fucked up. Nobody wants to see Baron Corbin in the main event of Monday Night Raw in a pay-per-view leading into a pay-per-view match at Clash of Champions, and nobody wants to see him win the King of the fucking Ring. Now people are like, oh, he's a heel. No, you shouldn't want to see him be the King of the Ring. Yeah, that's right. That's true. But Baron Corbin is an awful heel. Like, this is, like, the only thing that he's done that was even close to being a good heel tactic is when he hit the end of days on Becky Lynch and Extreme Rules. That is the only thing in this entire year since they started pushing Baron Corbin, or the last year and a half, since they started pushing Baron Corbin, that he has done that I've actually been like, damn, that is a good heel move. That is something that is dastardly and something that a heel like Baron Corbin should do. Other than that, he has been boring, he has been bland, and he hasn't done anything to warrant give me a reason to care about the King of the Ring after next week. If he wins that match, I really don't give a fuck about the King of the Ring, because if he goes to the finals and goes to the finals, Baron Corbin's winning the King of the Ring. Billy Cruz was backstage with Bayley, who doesn't want to talk about recent comments made by Sasha Banks because they're personal. She did talk to Sasha Banks because they're best friends. Says Banks did go home after WrestleMania and that was her decision, but that wasn't Bayley's. Bayley chose to stay and fight, and now she's the SmackDown Women's Champion. She's teaming with Becky Lynch tonight, so why doesn't Charlie ask her about that? Charlie Caruso asked Bayley if she feels overshadowed by Becky in the match tonight. Bayley says she doesn't feel that way and won't. And she goes on and says how she's always does what she has to win, and by the end of the night we will see who is standing in the shadow of the other. Charlie Caruso she said, why don't you ask me about the match with Becky Lynch tonight? And Charlie Caruso comes in with this condescending, bitch-like question about, oh, fans like Becky Lynch thinks that she has taken the women's division to new heights. Yet, doesn't that make you feel overshadowed? And I'm like, damn, Charlie, if Charlie Caruso is coming up with these questions herself, God, Charlie Caruso is definitely a bitch, man. It's not just this one; it's like all the time. She sounds like a fucking bitch. But this entire thing, it was just tonight, and it's like this entire promo foreshadowed what would happen in the main event. And again, smile on my face at the end of the night. Did not save this show. To anybody who thinks because of what happened in the main event at the end of the show made this a good show, I don't know what to tell you. It was not a good show at all. Viking Raiders versus Tyler Hastings and Brian Thomas. We had discounts. The honky tonk man here, I swear. The guy who was in the blue trunks, I don't know who was who, but the guy who was in blue like underwear trunks he looked the size. He looked a little bit like shorter, but he had the gut and the hairstyle of the fucking honky tonk man. Michael Cole even said the guy looked like fucking honky tonk man's son. So I was like, what the fuck, man? Of course, as you know, the Viking Raiders win with the Vikings. The Flores Hammer, I will not call it that other thing because Vince McMahon has to have his goddamn way. They don't like the name Viking, then I'm gonna name their finisher that. God damn it, I know this is good shit! Sarah Charlotte's backstage with Sasha Banks. Charlotte asked if she'd be rooting for her best friend tonight, even though she's teaming with Becky Lynch. This was fucking just great. Banks says she sees what Charlotte is trying to do and says in a very, very loud voice, get the hell out of my face. And she was screaming at Sarah Schreiber, who just looked so fucking terrified and hurries away and stumbles into a wall while retreating, which I thought was kind of funny. Sasha Banks is fucking gold. Just love the woman. She is just great. I can't wait to see what happens at Clash of Champions. Her and Becky Lynch should be an awesome match. If they give them the time they should be warranted, these two should give you one hell of a match. They have two of the four horsewomen, and these two women should be able to give you the match that we have been waiting for and dying for. Now, I'm just hoping that we don't have some kind of fuck finish to take us into some Hell in a Cell with both of these women. Just saying. Ricochet versus Samoa Joe. This match was this was a good match. It was confirmed after the break that Braun Strowman's Seth Rollins contract signing will be next week again, and it will be with Steve Austin. Steve Austin moderating it. It better open the show. I better not see the King of the Ring match get snuffed out of the main event because they want to have Austin at the end of the show. But you know they're going to do that. The King of the Ring match should be the final thing. When we get to the end of Raw next week, it better be the King of the Ring finals being the main event. But I doubt it because they're probably going to go with this Steve Austin thing because that's how you get ratings to stay in, because you advertise Stone Cold's going to be there, and then you don't have him out there until the very last minute. Good match. I don't know what's up with Ricochet, but in NXT, he was on fire. He was the man. He was just untouchable. The guy felt like a goddamn fucking star. They say he's they have him he's from a comic book. It doesn't feel like that on Monday Night Raw. He feels like we see the same match and the same moveset out of Ricochet every single match. Ricochet would change things up. He would do different things in NXT. If they do a draft in October, superstars go to Raw, to SmackDown, SmackDown to Raw, I want Ricochet, Aleister Black to go back to NXT where they belong. NXT is going to need firepower. NXT is going to need those names back. Ricochet and Aleister Black go back to NXT. There is more that they can do down there. And especially going to a 2-hour format, they can do other things for NXT with Ricochet and Aleister Black. They're not doing anything on the main roster. And on top of that, put Andrade back in there. I would love to see Andrade versus a Dominic Dijakovic or an Andrade versus a Keith Lee. I would love to see Ricochet versus Keith Lee again. I have not seen Ricochet versus Keith Lee since 2017's World Cup U.S. qualifiers. That was the first time I ever saw Keith Lee wrestle. He has vastly improved since then, so I would love to see Ricochet versus Keith Lee again. Joe focuses on knees, which I hate this fucking logic. Joe attacks Ricochet's knees to keep him from doing his high aerial offense. Obvious logical booking right there. That is what a heel like Samoa Joe should be doing. But okay, he does that for a bit. He puts him in a half crab, I think it was, or a Boston crab or something like that. He even had Ricochet's knees crossed, and then just sat down and it was a weird ass fucking move. I don't know what the hell you call it, but he just had him on his shoulder, had his knees in front of it, his legs in front of him, and crossed them over, and then sat down and planted them. But he does that for a bit, and then after he's done beating on his legs, Ricochet's up and nothing happened. He's then going through this match like nothing happened. This is what I hate about Monday Night Raw. You're not allowed to sell your injuries going down to the ring. You're not allowed to sell, they want you to sell. They actually threw a rhetoric or something, or an edict down that you have to sell a lot more. Well, apparently that was thrown out the window because nobody's selling with anything now. There was no selling of Ricochet's legs after about 5 minutes. You had an Uranagi. You had a big explosive suplex. Joe takes his towel for finally bringing it back into the ring. Ricochet kicks some. We go to a commercial break. This got really pissed off because you have Ricochet on the top turnbuckle trying to probably do something like a Phoenix Splash. Joe comes up, puts him in the Coquina Clutch. While up, they fight. Both fall to the mat. Both shoulders are down. 1, 2, 3, because for whatever fucking reason, John Cone decides to count 1, 2, 3. And honestly, we should have known that because the storyline going around lately has been John Cone has been fucking Baron Corbin up out of matches and out of things. So the fact that John Cone was the referee for this match should have been a sign that they were going to do something to fuck with Baron Corbin. And that's what they did. He rings the bell. Who the fuck won? Now, they did an alternate camera angle later on, which was from about the turnbuckle side. And the way it looked on that one, when they laid down, it looked like Ricochet's left arm was laying on Samoa Joe. So his left shoulder would not have been down. So technically, if you wanted to look at that footage again, Ricochet should have been your winner. That's just my opinion. Referee John Cone goes to ringside and gets a headset, talking to someone in the back. We're going NFL, baby. Just put the headset on and talk about it. He thanks someone from the other end and says we'll take that, they said, under consideration. Ricochet stops from ringside and Cone says they will have a ruling soon. Heads to the back as Joe shows Ricochet. They have a fight back in the ring. Ricochet stands tall on that. And we'll have an announcement later. Braun Strowman approaches Seth Rollins backstage and mentions how Steve Austin will officiate the contract signing next week. He feels like Austin is there to assist Rollins because a couple weeks ago Stone Cold Steve Austin was on Skype praising Seth Rollins for what he did against Brock Lesnar, which at least they brought that into continuity into this. At least they didn't just act like it didn't happen. He said, you know what? I don't dictate what Stone Cold Steve Austin does. But I know what it's like to turn my back on my brothers, but I also know what it feels like to have my best friend stab me in the back. So if Austin's there to prevent what happened with the OCs and Rudolph next week, I'm all for it. Strowman says I'm not trying to dictate anything to Austin, but if he gets in my way and he tries to get in my face, he will get these hands. And he walks off. Seth just crosses his arms and just thinks and just has a thought. Back from break, and we go to a new Firefly Funhouse segment. We haven't had one of these in a while. He confirms that Hell in a Cell. So he comes out and he's like, "Hi, before we get anything else done, right? Finn Balor, what the Fiend did to you was super duper cruel or mean, and I just have to say, I'm sorry." Then Demon McMahon comes up with fire all around him and says, "How dare you challenge Seth Rollins or Braun Strowman to a Universal title match at Hell in a Cell? You're sorry. I can't do Vince McMahon's voice right now. I try. But he's like, oh, stop. No. Grabs a wad of cash and says, look what I've been making. And just starts feeding the cash to Vince McMahon's puppet. So, apparently, it doesn't matter what happens in 2 weeks. Because at Hell in a Cell, it's going to be The Fiend versus Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins. Says he saw how Strowman and Rollins don't make a good team because they're selfish and greedy. And in another life, they took something dear from him. We see signs of the Fiend in the graphic on the screen. Wyatt goes on about how his team, the puppets, help him cope with pain, but the Fiend helps him inflict it. It's funny because you see Huskus, you see Abby, and you see Mercy the Buzzer. And then you see Random Rabbit just pop up and he's got a sign that says, help! It has a help sign. Wyatt, of course, pushes him down. I want to see where the adventures of Random Rabbit go with this because it's just funny. He starts laughing. He stops laughing, stares at the camera, and says, "Let me in." He says, "The Fiend's face appears all over the corner." It cuts back to Wyatt smiling, waving goodbye, and says, "See you in hell." So, yes. Here's the thing. I said this on Unscripted this week. It's too early, in my opinion, because if it doesn't matter who faces Bray Wyatt, it's going to probably be inside Hell in a Cell. Bray Wyatt, if the Fiend has this match, he has to win. Plain and simple. You don't put the Fiend, who has had one fucking match, does not want a Hell in a Cell match for the Universal Championship. This is fucking terrible booking by WWE. This is going to ruin the Fiend because we all know if we go one loss is all it takes for Vince McMahon to go, well, he's all mine now. We're going to have him go up against this person. He's going to lose to this one. He's going to lose to this one and lose. He'll win against some slub here and there, but he'll lose. And the Fiend is no better than the former Bray Wyatt. I don't want to see this happen. I don't. It's too soon for Bray Wyatt to come in as the Fiend and win the Universal title or even challenge for the Universal title. He's done nothing. He beat Finn Balor. So fucking what? What are you going to do? The only way you justify this, he wins the match, he takes the title, takes it back to the Firefly Funhouse. We see it in all the Firefly Funhouses that they do. He wrestles on the pay-per-views. He shows up every once in a while to attack or do whatever. And Finn Balor wins the Royal Rumble. Finn Balor chooses the Fiend for WrestleMania. And at WrestleMania, you get the Fiend versus the Demon for the Universal Championship, and the Fiend wins. Or the Fiend loses by that time, who knows? By that time, he would have taken on a couple superstars and he would have won matches. But if the Fiend wins, he keeps it and he goes from October to April in Tampa to WrestleMania against the Demon. You get the Demon versus the Fiend. I don't want to see any interaction between Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt until WrestleMania season, when you would have the Fiend and the Demon trading back and forth. There's no other reason for it. Bray Wyatt, if he's going to win the Universal Championship, he keeps it until we get to WrestleMania, and he goes up against the Demon because Finn Balor wins the Royal Rumble. There's that. We're going to replay what happened between Samoa Joe and Ricochet. Corey Graves is backstage with referee John Cohn, asking about the official decision. Baron Corbin interrupts and says they eliminated each other. I get a bye. I'm in the finals. Cohen says, well, actually, WWE management has decided that Joe and Ricochet were both not eliminated. They both advanced, and Corbin versus Joe versus Ricochet will be next week. So this is your tournament semifinals as of now. Again, how do you fuck this up? How in the hell do you fuck this up? I don't know what to tell you. In my opinion, the King of the Ring has been ruined. This did not need to happen. Samoa Joe should have lost to Ricochet, and then you get Baron Corbin versus Ricochet next week. Cedric Alexander just got a good match out of Baron Corbin. Ricochet, if you let Ricochet be Ricochet, you let Ricochet be King Ricochet from the Independents and Ricochet from NXT, and not the bogged down and diminished Ricochet from Monday Night Raw, you would have yourself a fantastic match. Or not a fantastic match, but at least a good match. But no, they did this. It gives you a more chance to see. I guarantee you, Baron Corbin's winning, and we'll move on from there. Santa Cruz was backstage with Rey Mysterio. God, I just wanted to rip my ears off for this one. He asked about the emotional roller coaster he's been on with his family. He says his son Dominic had stopped him from retiring 2 weeks ago, which I don't think, Rey Mysterio, I don't think you have to take the mask on to officially retire. They had a father-son moment later that night, and Dominic talked about how being blessed to grow up with him within the WWE family. Ray can never thank him enough for reminding him and talking him into continuing to pursue his passion. That had me thinking how crazy this is, because our parents, we go into a PSA on how to parent your kids. We are responsible for pushing the kids to follow their dreams, but here his son is pushing him to continue chasing his. He's not done. Fans applaud, says he's not done and not just yet, and he still has a lot more to accomplish. He's doing this for his son. Curry thanks him, and he walks off. So all that talk last week of Rey Mysterio will be back in action next week. That's what you give me. You could have did that. So you could have did that out in the ring. You could have had a match for him, but no. You give me Rey Mysterio cutting the cringiest promo of the fucking night, and that's saying something. And Rey Mysterio, I know you just returned last October. You have an 18-month out clause. Please, oh please, use that out clause. Go to go to Ring of Honor, go to AEW, go to New Japan, go somewhere else, because what you're doing in WWE, what they're doing to you, is absolutely a crime. Hey, did anyone see what Cesaro did against Ilya Dragunov in NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff? Well, that was a great fucking match. What did they do to reward him? Have him lose to The Miz. Vince McMahon is the pettiest, selfish piece of shit on the face of the earth. Cesaro had probably the best match of his goddamn career this past Saturday in Cardiff, Wales. They have him come to face The Miz and have him lose to The Miz in about 5 minutes. Cesaro went for a swing, got blocked. Cesaro swing again attempt, but gets blocked into a figure 4 attempt, blocked by that. They trade a pin attempts and go back to the corner. Miz nails a right hand. Cesaro fights off out of the corner with a big uppercut. Miz catches Cesaro in the skull crushing finale for the 1, 2, 3. Miz stands tall and he hits Cole Hapes the Clash of Champions title shot for the Intercontinental title for Shinsuke Nakamura. So, Cesaro, if I was you, I would take my flight. I would go to the independent. I would go over to the NXT UK if you could find a way, and go work those shows. Go work for ICW. Go work for Progress. Go work under a WWE deal. Get the fuck away from Vince McMahon's clutches, because Vince McMahon does not give a shit about you. You have a fantastic match. A fantastic match against Ilya Dragunov, which is, I've only seen him wrestle twice. It was Cassius Ohno, the one who beat him first, in that match. The guy's got some potential. Will he ever be on WWE's main roster? Hell no. But the dude and Cesaro put on one hell of a fucking match. 40 fucking swings to Ilya Dragunov. I posted it that this guy is not human. But Cesaro, go over there where WWE UK division will actually appreciate you and use you right. Maybe even give you the UK Championship in about 6 to 8 months. Maybe Volta versus Cesaro would be the match that Volta loses the championship to. Could you imagine Volta versus Cesaro for the UK Championship at the next whatever takeover they're going to do, and Volta loses to Cesaro? That would be fucking fantastic. Everyone was talking about when they knew Cesaro was going to Cardiff, that they wanted to see Volta versus Cesaro. I want to see it. Better than anything he's doing on the main roster right now. Back from break, we have Cole confirmed the following next Monday Night Raw. We have Austin officiating the Braun Strowman Seth Rollins contract signing and the King of the Ring semi-final triple threat Samoa Joe versus Ricochet versus Baron Corbin. We have what they billed as a Women's Championship Showcase match with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, the Women's Tag Team Champions, taking on the Raw and SmackDown Women's Champions. Plain and simple, this match was all down to what happened after the match. As we talked about earlier, Sasha Banks came down halfway through the match. As the match was coming down to, Bayley tags in Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch gets the hot tag. She's beating up on the tag team champions. Everything looks fine and good. She's going to go for a, she's fighting Alexa Bliss in the corner. Banks runs in and hits a backstabber on her. Ref calls for the bell. After the match, she drops Lynch with a backstabber out of the corner. Ends up going out of the floor, bringing a steel chair from under the ring, brings it in, and unloads on Becky Lynch, not hitting her on the head this time. Bayley runs in, grabs the chair, and stops her. They stare at each other. They say a couple words off microphone. I don't know exactly what she said to her, but Bayley just gets this wicked, evil smile that I always knew was there. Always knew was going to be there. Then she unloads on Becky Lynch. Crowd is going absolutely ballistic. Smiles from the corner as Bayley Banks smiles from the corner as she walks as Bayley destroys Lynch in the chair shots. Fans are chanting yes as the show goes off the air. Absolutely the best moment of the show. Did it save the show? Absolutely not. Was this a great show because of that? Absolutely not. Great moment. The only caveat and the only big problem I see with this is the fact that Charlotte Flair is a heel. How are you going to go through with this? Is it just... Here's the thing. Is Bayley only heel on Raw and a babyface on SmackDown? Or is she going to be a babyface, a heel on Raw, and a heel on SmackDown? Just don't fuck this up. I don't want him to come to SmackDown this coming tomorrow and it's like nothing happened. I want Bayley to be the heel that she should be. Everybody's been wanting it just like Sasha Banks. The Boss and Hug connection, back together most likely. As heels. Good. Again, I'm sure Brian Zane's probably watching Monday Night Raw and jumping for joy because he'd be like, I was right. We'll have to see this Wednesday on Who What Better. But that was your Monday Night Raw review. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video, follow me on Twitch and Twitter at The France Club, and I will see you guys tomorrow for SmackDown Live, Wednesday for NXT, and this Sunday for Unscripted. Until then, my name is The France, and I'll see you guys later.